Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to In Her Rubber Boots. My name is Katrina, and today we are going to talk about how week 2 of the challenge to not eat processed food has gone. Now, if you didn't watch my initial video kind of explaining it, and you didn't watch week 1, I will kind of bring you just quickly up to speed, but I would suggest going back and watching those. So my husband and I are trying to go 1 month without eating processed food. So that includes things like white flour and white and brown sugar, if we can avoid those if possible, but definitely no pastas or crackers or cookies or chips or anything along those lines. So for week 2, things went pretty good. I would say that it was a little harder to stay on top of having snacks and easy meals and food in the house just because life is busy and, my youngest one's been teething, and so we've had some rough nights and some cranky children, and so it's been a little harder just to kind of stay on track. I've also been out and about a little bit more, and so that's always a little trickier as well. So I would say, overall it went well. I didn't do a lot of, so to speak, cheating. I had one granola bar when we were out somewhere and I really needed something to eat. And I made my kids pancakes one evening, and I had one of the pancakes. They were homemade, but they had white flour in them and I had jam on them. So I wouldn't say that I was 100% this week, but I did pretty good, and overall we're still on track. So here are some of the snacks that we had for this week. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the things that I already had last week, since you already saw that video. So I obviously had fruit, I had some peanuts, snacking on yogurt, that sort of thing. What I want to talk about is the new things that I added for snacks. So I made this overnight oatmeal kind of a thing, like an oatmeal bake. It's supposed to almost be more of like a baked porridge. But, to be honest, it almost came out like a square, and it wasn't made with much sugar. I used bananas in it more for sweetener, and I also put berries in it. It was quite tasty, and I will link it below because it honestly was not that bad for you. So last week I mentioned that when I had a real sugar craving, I would have some dates. This week I also added in figs, and I found that they also do the trick and are another option, so when I get sick of dates, at least I have figs to eat. Now, as far as breakfast goes, we had similar breakfasts again. We do make our own yogurt, and I make my own granola, so we had a lot of that. We also had some toast, and sometimes some fruit or something, but nothing too out of the ordinary for breakfast. For lunch and supper, I like to lump those together because typically we eat our hot meal for lunch, and then I typically have leftovers for supper. So one of the days we had, I guess you could call it a sheet pan, but essentially it was a bunch of roasted veggies. I did sweet potato, regular potatoes, carrots, onion, green beans, and did that with sausage. It's not even sausage from the store, it's actually sausage from a relative's pigs, and so it's pretty healthy for you. And I just cooked that all up with some olive oil and Parmesan cheese. So for the next recipe, I made stuffed red peppers. I fried up some carrot and onion just for some flavor. I used some brown rice. I topped it with some leftover tomato sauce and some sausage and cheese, and baked it in the oven. I don't have a recipe because I just made it up as I went, but it was really good, and I used items that I already had in the house. Now this next recipe is perfect for when you just want something that kind of seems like it's terrible for you, but it's actually not that bad, and it is so easy to make. Now the one thing that you do need to have for this is a sourdough starter. But if you do have one, all you need to do is heat up either a stone or skillet in the oven, take it out when it's piping hot, spread your sourdough starter straight onto that stone, and it really already starts baking as you're putting it on. You then throw it back in the oven for a few minutes, and then when you take it out, you put your toppings on it. So for this one, I just shredded some cheese. I took out some pulled pork from the freezer and put some tomato on it and a little bit of Italian seasoning, and you're good to go. It's so super easy, and it tastes like
a pizza or a flatbread or something like that, and it's really not that bad for you. The directions are the same as Farmhouse on Boone's pizza dough, so I will just link that below. We've also had salad as quite a few sides with our meals just to try and stay healthy. Another meal that we had was just a very basic shepherd's pie. Now, in case you think we only eat beef and pork, this was a chicken meal that we did make. And that was kind of a sweet and sour sort of a dish. It was made with pineapple and red pepper and onion and carrots and chicken with a bit of a sauce. I tried not to make it too sweet so that way I didn't have to add any sugar to it, and then just served it with brown rice. We actually had dessert this week. I know you're probably thinking, wow, way to cheat, but actually it's not even that bad for you. It is a recipe from Farmhouse on Boone, so I will link it down below. I don't know if she calls it an apple pie, but it's another sourdough recipe. And really you just make an apple base. You hardly put any sugar in it at all. I used, I think, 1/4 cup of maple syrup in the whole recipe. And then the top part is really just sourdough with like some eggs and oil and a couple tablespoons of sugar or whatever to sweeten it. And I just cut back on the sugar part of it. But it's super delicious. It almost tastes like a pancake top to it, but it allows you to have a dessert and still be really healthy.
If you guys are doing any sort of a diet, or if you're following along and want to participate in any way, let me know in the comments below. I would love to support you. If this is a video that you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!